पूजनीय Guru Mata Matrisri Anant Lakshmi Ji of Anadi Foundation, Sri Aurobindo Ji, who has served this Dharma enormously by contributing to his research and literary work, and today we got one more contribution from him, his Dharmic social history of India. He is a contributing editor, Swarajya. Respected R.N.Ravi, Director of Pandit Festival, distinguished scholars, thought leaders, commanders and soldiers of Bharat Shakti. This land is a sacred land. This land has the presence of one of the tallest all-time rishis of Bharat, Sri Aurobindo. This land where he lived, he walked, it bears his footprint. He meditated, he taught, and he left a priceless corpus of wisdom for Inasa of India. Coming to this place, for a person like me, it is a pilgrimage. And I thank Puducherry Lit Fest for giving me this opportunity. Sri Aurobindo Society, Sri Aurobindo Ashram, people, those who are associated with these institutions, they have been carrying on with the legacy of great Sri Aurobindo, trying in their own modest way to carry on and spread the light that he had bestowed and bequeathed to the generations, future generations. But then, when some of them decided, some years back, to start this Lit Fest, it is a revolutionary initiative to fulfill the dream of Sri Aurobindo. Spreading the light, spreading his teaching is one part of it. But essentially the goal is to fulfill his dream. And his dream, we all know, was a capable, a samarth, saban Bharat for the good of the world. Sri Aurobindo did not belong to one particular community or one particular place. He belonged to humanity. But he knew that the light to the humanity and for a harmonious world, it is imperative that Bharat must grow strong and capable. And for that, Bharat Shakti has to grow. In a mission which is dedicated towards energizing Bharat Shakti, which has been the core mission of my life, to be associated, it's again a matter of privilege and blessings for me, and for this I once again thank you very much. Friends, some ignorant people say that Sri Aurobindo, a great nationalist revolutionary, when he was hounded by the British, he escaped to Puducherry Nothing could be farther from truth. Sri Aurobindo did not escape. By the time Sri Aurobindo came to this land, he knew that Bharat was awake, awake to her destiny of freedom. Even though there was no organized national freedom movement, that energy of being awake was manifest in several acts. And most demonstrably it manifested when the British communally partitioned Bengal and created a Muslim Bengal. The whole Bharat revolted. There was no Indian National Congress to lead it. Mahatma Gandhi was not in picture. And yet, the entire Bharat revolted. Here in Tamil Nadu, V.O. Chidambaram Pillai led the movement. So many of them, thousands and thousands of people came. It is not acceptable. Bharat cannot be divided on communal lines because this is against the very idea of Bharat. Sri Aurobindo knew that this awakened Bharat is definite to get its goal or destiny of being free, being independent. The question that bothered him at the time was, what would happen thereafter? Bharat will become independent, sooner than later. But what will happen thereafter? With the disappearance of the common enemy, the unity that he has seen, that we have all seen together, will it persist or will they again get into petty fights? Because Bharat was not a slave forever. It wasn't. It has a long history of independent, prosperous Bharat, spreading goodness and goods around the world. But then, it was enslaved and it remained slave for almost 1,000 years. So what was the guarantee that after independence it will not again be? This issue, this concern was very aptly articulated by Dr. R.N. Ravi in his last speech to the Constituent Assembly. As a chairman of the drafting committee, he had presented the Constitution's draft, it was debated, and final speech on 25th of November 1949. In his concluding paragraph of his speech, he says, I am worried. I am worried if Bharat is India is independent. We have a constitution, and shortly we are going to be a republic. My worry is, will India be able to preserve its independence? Because India was not a slave forever. And then he recalls and recounts landmark moments of history, beginning Arab invasion of Sindh. He says when Muhammad bin Qasim invaded Sindh, who betrayed the king of that place? His own people. That led to the defeat and incursion of the Arabs. Who invited Muhammad Ghori to India to fight against Prithviraj Chauhan? His own people. When Shivaji Maharaj was fighting to save the soul of Bharat against the atrocities of Aurangzeb, who were all fighting against him? They were collaborators of the Mughals, locals who were fighting against him. And when the British were fighting the then ruler of Punjab, Gulab Singh, who betrayed Gulab Singh? His own people. So his worry was whether an independent India will be able to preserve her independence. the concern which Sri Aurobindo had realized and worked on almost 4 decades before. Sri Aurobindo, after deliberations, he came to the conclusion, the distillation of his meditation and his deliberations was, Bharat, first of all, Bharat has to preserve her independence. That's not enough. Bharat has a divinely ordained obligation. And what is that? He said that in this entire universe, Earth is the only planet where consciousness is at the evolutionary stage. It has been evolving from Jad to Jiva, Chaitanya, and then Chaitanya. It is in the process of going up. But this knowledge that we are all one, the entire creation is one, this knowledge, this wisdom came to this very land. The entire world is a family, the entire creation is a family. There is a kinship in creation. That light came only to this land. So this land, that he asked, did it happen by coincidence? No. It was a divine dispensation. So it was the obligation of Bharat to rise and spread the light of universal brotherhood to the rest of the world. And for that, Bharat must be strong. Bharat can preserve her independence and Bharat can fulfill her destiny to spread the light only by strengthening Matra, this Bharat Shakti. And what is Bharat Shakti? You all know. He said, it is a living energy of a great spiritual conception. And what is that great spiritual conception? This spiritual conception was what thousands of years ago, one doesn't have a true account of it, but conservative estimate they say perhaps 5,000 years ago, during the Vedic period of rishis, when they discovered the unity of creation. The Creator, having created, is present in every element of creation. Not only in humans, animals and plants, even in what we call inanimate. It is not inanimate. Consciousness is at sleeping stage. It is one and the same, which manifests in countless forms. This unity, this oneness, the light that was bequeathed by the Vedic rishis, it was spread over the land. People speaking different languages, inhabiting different regions, wearing different costumes and eating different cuisines. The light is spread. But this light was so potent that for its diversity was a celebration. Diversity was the beauty of the creation which the Creator had created. And with this spread of this light, people, while keeping their language, keeping their custom, keeping their cuisine and costume, they felt united, they felt as a family. Friends, Bharat Shakti can be understood and appreciated only and only if we understand Bharat. Bharat, unfortunately, there is enormous lack of understanding. Bharat cannot be understood in terms of a political state. with the European notion of a political state. We all know what is a political state. European definition which is taught in our schools and colleges, political sciences students they study. An entity with 4 attributes is called a state. There is a defined territory, population inhabiting that territory, there is a government governing that population, and that government is sovereign. These 4 attributes makes an entity a political state. If that be the case, where does Bharat fit in? At no point of time there was any one ruler who ruled the whole Bharat. Numerous, at any point of time. Different parts, numerous parts of this beautiful sacred land was ruled by different, numerous things. And yet, a person from Kashmir could easily come over to Kanyakumari, to Rameswaram, without any let and hindrance. When nearly 400 years before the Common Era, during the time of Chandragupta Maurya, when Acharya Bhadrabahu from Patliputra left with 14,000 of his Shramana devotees, walked from Patliputra, came to Shravanbelgola in Karnataka, and then went over to Vaihatigiri in today's Tamil Nadu. Imagine 14,000 people walking, traveling, and there are people and institutions all around to facilitate, to host, to make their journey comfortable. They pass through numerous kings and kingdoms, unstopped, unhindered. They were all facilitators. Over 1500 years ago, our own Mahabalipura, what we is Mamlapura, seat of Pallava kings, a Pallava prince who was to be anointed as the king. He renounced. With his 500 assistants, he went over to Nalanda. He studied. He walked from here. He went all the way to Nalanda. He studied. He became Acharya. He was Christian Bodhidharma. He taught there. He came later. Went by Coromandel coast and introduced Buddhism to China. When Bodhidharma went and came back, there was no obstruction. He could facilitate it. 600 years ago, from Kamaru, which is Assam today, Mahapurush Sankardev, he traveled, went to Rameswaram. He studied, those days Rameswaram was the seat of learning. He studied there, he came to Kanchipuram, he studied there. Then he came to Kashi, he studied longer. He went back to Kamaru, and the first composition he made was Dhanya Dhanya Bharat Bhumi. This is long journey, there was no obstruction, there was no problem. Until 1801, when the British occupied this area, 50,000 people every year used to travel from Kashi to Rameswaram. Every year. This was recorded by the last Maratha king of this place, based in Tanjore, Sarfaji Maharaj, 20th of January 1801, when the British captured this land. He wrote a letter saying that, okay, you have captured this land, fine. But there is a chain of institutions, thousands of them, which caters to 50,000 people traveling from Kashi to Rameswaram every year. And where they are given three meals a day. Those who are sick, they are nursed, because there used to be Vaidya doctors there. They used to take rest, recuperate themselves and move on. He appealed to the British, please don't disturb that. Of course, the British had no reason to preserve it, they destroyed it. But what I am trying to say is, this Bharat cannot be understood in terms of a modern political state, because it doesn't fit in. Maybe today as a political state we can say that yes, we have a central government and we have a territory, but it is not Bharat. Bharat is a Rashtra. Rashtra is not a nation. This is not a synonym. We often use the word, but that's not correct. Because the nation is still remains an inconclusive concept, political concept, created in Europe. And the father of grammar of politics, R.N.Ravi, records it twice. He labors hard to define what is national, what is nation. Remains inconclusive. You read the chapter in grammar of politics, you will only remain confused. Because by that definition, there is no nation in the world. Rashtra. What is Rashtra? Bharat is a Rashtra. But what is Rashtra? Rashtra which is born out of this light. The light given by our Vedic rishis that we are all one. And our Rig Veda says, what is Rashtra? Rig Veda tells us, Bhadram Ikshantarisaya, Swavida Tapo Diksham, Upanishedu Ragra, Tato Rashtram Balamo Jasjata. Bhadram Ikshantarisaya, rishis with the Vishwa Kalyankari, Lok Kalyankari Bhavana, with the desire to save the world, to do good to the world. Such rishis, equipped with Swavida Atma Gyan. And what is Atma Gyan? Mamatma Sarva Bhutatma. My Atma is the Atma of all the Bhutas, all the beings. This is Atma Gyan. The Atma Gyan which Lord Sri Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Bhutesu Venekyam Bhavam Abhyam Ikshate Avibhaktam Vibhaktesu Tad Jnanam Vidhi Satvikam. Indivisible looking divided, numerously divided. Your ability to see that it is indivisible. All of us sitting here, manifestation of one and the same. This ability to see that knowledge is the sattvic knowledge. When we see the difference, it is the tamasya. So one in all and all in one. That was Atma Gyan. So rishis equipped with self-knowledge, with Atma Gyan, and with a desire to serve the humanity, to serve the world, with their tap and diksha, with their hard work, that Rashtra is created. Rashtra. Friends, when Adi Shankaracharya moved from one end to the other, spreading the light, Rishi. And you know, many of you will be knowing that when he was to depart, who did he appoint as a succession at Kanchi? Sureshwaracharya from Kashmir. From Kashmir he got Sureshwaracharya to come and sit in his seat as his successor, the first reincarnated Shankaracharya of Kanchi Kanpur Peeth. Such wishes have created Rashtra. Bharat is a Rashtra because of this light, because of this great spiritual conception which Sri Aurobindo says in his own unique way. And this unique spiritual conception, that unity, that energy that it creates, a living energy, this is Bharat Shakti. So this Bharat Shakti has to rise for fulfilling the destiny of Bharat. And Sri Aurobindo knew that this time period was such where it was full of conflict, full of tensions, full of war. He had witnessed 2 world wars, massive suffering. For the first time, humans saw an enormous destructive power in the hands of humans when atomic weapons were dropped at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Such conflict-ridden wars, with such a destructive power, what is the fate of this event? Self-destruction? Sri Aurobindo said, no, it is not. We have to evolve. We have to evolve and spread the light of universal brotherhood, light of oneness. At this light, he thought that with independence of India, Renaissance of India was coming. And Bharat would be able to discharge its divine obligation by strengthening the Bharat Shakti, by strengthening that great spiritual conception. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. It was a miscarriage of a dream, because the people, those who came at the helm of affairs, and the system that they carried, did everything possible to undermine the Bharat Shakti. They tried their best to deny, to neutralize that great spiritual conception, this realization given to us by the Vedic rishis, which we call Dharma, which we call Sanatana Dharma. At the time of independence, we were all one. Of course, the country was partitioned. And Sri Aurobindo didn't like it. He called it a temporary phenomenon. He says that this is not acceptable. It was not a partition of a territory or separation of people. It was a fatal blow on the very idea of Bharat. Bharat is all-inclusive. It doesn't recognize anyone else. Because once I say that we are all manifestation of the one and the same, how can you say that oh, you are different, I am different? And if an ideology, if a faith, which does not accept it, and if they insisted on partition and partition happened, it was a fatal blow on the very idea of Bharat. And Sri Aurobindo was pained and anguished. He thought it must, at the most, it must be a temporary phenomenon. But then, after independence, instead of strengthening Bharat Shakti, we went on appeasing those very ideas and ideologies which had negated Bharat and Bharat Shakti. The first Prime Minister is on record within the first 2 years of taking charge. He says, my greatest challenge is to build a secular state on a profoundly religious society. Friends, we all know that secularism as an issue came up in our Constituent Assembly. When the Constitution was finally drafted and almost getting finalized, there was no secularism word in that. One member, K.T. Shah, because our Constitution was created out of several European and American constitutions put together, and since they had in the European constitutions mention of secularism, K.T. Shah said, do we mention something about secularism? The whole House unanimously said, is European secularism relevant to us? European secularism is built out of hostility between the state and the church. Out of that hostility, they have to separate their own respective domains. Bharat is born out of a conception, a spirituality that we are all one. Our approach is Sarva Mat Sarva Pantha Sambhav. We have equal respect for all Pantha. There is relevance of secularism. And so it was dropped. It was not mentioned. But later, an insecure Prime Minister introduced it during emergency, the word secularism. And even when this word was introduced, go into this, if you can click on the internet, 26th, 27th of, if I remember correctly, it is August 1976. When Sardar Swaran Singh, the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, when he piloted the bill for amendment of the preamble, he mentioned it very clearly. Because secularism was introduced out of that amendment. He said, as far as secularism is concerned, I want to, it is his words, not mine. As far as secularism is concerned, these are his words. I want to make it abundantly clear, our secularism is not European secularism. It is not born out of hostility. Ours says equal respect to all. But when it was translated and propagated, it became a Dharma Nirpeksha. You look the other way. This country, this Rashtra was built on a Dharma. And how can you be Dharma Nirpeksha? Being equally respectful to all panth is one thing, but turning one's your back on Dharma, how can? And so undoing began. At the time of independence, the country was one. Within the first decade of independence, tension began, conflict began. Violence began in Northeast. People have started saying we will be separate. Linguistic riots began. People have started making demand that we want a separate state. The fire of separatism, fire of division spread. It kept spreading. One state became 7 states in the Northeast, all on the ground of separate ethnic identity. That couldn't stop, because if you keep dividing, it is like a scales of a fish. If you keep removing the fish, fish will be dead. That is what they have to do. The second Administrative Commission report, 2008. This Administrative Reform Committee report, it says conflict is embedded in the geography of India. How shameful. Conflict is embedded in the geography of India. And it is inevitable. All that we can do is how best to manage it. Look at the things. Where is Bharat Shakti? Where is Bharat? It was all jettisoned out. As a result, we kept getting divided. We kept becoming weaker and weaker, poorer and poorer. At the time of independence, we were the 6th largest economy. By 2014, we dipped down to the 11th. We kept talking about poverty alleviation, Garebi Hatao, and the number of poor kept inflating. We continue to remain a country that hosted the largest number of sick, poor, and illiterate people. Our growth, with the due respect to economists, they coined a term, Hindu rate of growth. It is a society which cannot grow. It will grow. It will keep limping. It became an accepted term in the glossary of economists. But then, Renaissance came. It began in 2014. A new chapter and a new leadership with a new vision of Bharat, Bharatiya. And a project to fulfill the dream of Sri Aurobindo began on a mission. And what happened in the subsequent 10 years? We are the fastest growing large economy in the world. Nobody today talks about Hindu rate of growth. And by all calculations, people across the sections accept that soon we are going to be the 3rd largest. A country which was nowhere in the reckoning except for population and poverty. Today, it is one among the 3 largest startup ecosystem in the world. In the field of science and technology, we are among the top. In the digital payment system, we are among the top. As far as the digital payment is concerned, In the terms of number, we are the largest per day. 25 crore people pulled out of poverty. All these miracles have been happening. It seemed incredible, impossible. But how is it happening today? Is it being done by the government? No. It is being by the people. It is being done by the people, achieved by the people. It is our young men and women who are doing this wonder. All that the government is doing is to remove the obstacles, to create conducive environment, to raise Bharat up with pride. Whether it is Pran Pratishtha of Sri Ram or building of Kasi corridor or Adi Shankaracharya at Kedarnath or the Statue of Equality Ramanujacharya near Hyderabad, all over. These are all in every field comprehensive rise of Bharat by awakening the Bharat Sati. Putting trust in the people. Knowledge, creativity, energy lies in every Bharatiya, every vision. All that we need to do is awaken that creativity, that energy. And miracle is not far off. It's happening, it will continue happening. Friends, why? The good story is on, the project is on to fulfill the dream of Sri Aurobindo. We must be aware of the enemies of Bharat Shakti. Shatru Bodh. Shatru Bodh, since our ancient literatures, they have made it abundantly clear that a society or a Rashtra that doesn't have a clear understanding of the enemy and friends will continue suffering, will not even have the loyalty of the friends, because they do not know to distinguish who is your enemy, who is your friend. So Shatru Bodh is essential. You must have clarity about who are the enemies of Bharat Shakti. Enemies number one, European secularism. European secularism is denial and negation of Bharat Shakti. It cannot be accepted. It has to be Bharatiya secularism, that is equal respect to all. It is not turning away from Dharma, because you cannot turn away from Dharma. What is Dharma? Dharma is not rituals. It is not confined to certain rites prescribed by certain people. These are okay. It's part of paragraph. But Dharma is beautifully explained by, again, Sri Krishna in Karna Parv of Mahabharata. Karna Parv, we know that it was the 17th day of the fight, Mahabharata, when Karna was on the battlefield and he was destroying Pandava's army. Mercilessly he was decimated. Yudhishthira was badly injured. He could have killed him, but he spared his life because he had given word to mother Kunti that I will only kill Arjuna, nobody else. Yudhishthira, an injured Yudhishthira, comes and asks Arjuna, go and kill this Karna. At that point of time, Arjuna, he was fighting some other warriors around. He said, let me finish this life, then I will go. An impatient and angry Yudhishthira abused him. He also abused Gandhi. And Arjuna was under a vow that anyone who insults Gandhi has to be killed. And he said, I have to fulfill my portion of dharma. I have taken a vow. And then Sri Krishna comes and stops him. I said, what is your notion? as always, when he was confused about the battle, Dharma Yudh, Bhagavad Gita he was. Whenever he got confused, Lord Sri Krishna gave him a lesson, a message. And there Sri Krishna tells him, what is Dharma? Dharanat dharma ityahu dharmo dharayati praja yah syat dharana sanjukta sa dharma iti nishchay. Dharma is one that brings harmony. Dharma is one that holds together. Anything, any act, manasa, vacha, karmana, whether in your idea, a thought, in your speech or in your action, if it brings harmony, it is dharma. And around this dharma, our society, Bharat Rashtra, has been created. You cannot, and the institutions that we have around, in terms of tirtha and all, are the watering holes of this dharma. That is where people get the nourishment. Whether it is Aurobindo Ashram, whether it is Aurobindo, whether it is all the tirtham that we have around the country, numerous of them, these are watering holes of our dharma. You cannot turn your face away from it. So, European secularism has to be rejected outright. We have to have our definition of secularism, that is equal respect to all. The second enemy of Bharat, Shakti. They are the arrogant theologies. Arrogant theologies that believe that my God is the supreme and only God, nobody else. You must follow my God or else you suffer the consequences. No, this is not. This is not. This arrogant theology has no place in Bharat. And there is no question of rejecting it or not accepting it or protesting it meaning out. It has to be vehemently rejected. In Bharat, there is no place for any theology that says, I am the superior, not the rest. Rest all follow right. This is not. We have to be cautious and careful. Enemy number 3. Political ideologies that promote social and class conflict. Social and class conflict is not Bharatiya Darshan, is not Bharat Shakti, is not that great spiritual conception which Sri Aurobindo talked about. There is no class, there is no conflict. We cannot accept it. And if there is an ideology that promotes it, it has to be rejected. It is an enemy of Bharat Shakti. And friends, all these entities who rejoiced happily for nearly 6.5 decades, and Bharat kept declining. We kept fighting among ourselves. They are now worried. They are up to all mischief. They would use the most advanced scientific tools to create negative narratives. Nothing good is happening in this country. When the whole world knows that we are the fastest growing economy in the world, when the whole world knows that we are among the top startup ecosystem in the world, we have our digital public infrastructure is the envy of the world, envy of the advanced world and inspiration of the developing world. We see change happening all over. We see massive infrastructure, world-class infrastructure coming up. We see the prosperity by every aspect, every section of life and society. And yet still, a narrative is built. Nothing good is happening. This negative narrative, they will create. They will try to. And they are trying to. Not will, they are trying to undermine confidence in public institutions. Election Commission of India is compromised. It is not reliable. Don't trust me. Courts are compromised. That is how they will say. All the institutions which are crucial for not only governance, for not only for good governance, but for the rise of Bharat Shakti, they are questioned, their credibility are questioned. A fiction, a negative fiction is created to undermine public confidence in those institutions. They will continue doing that. We need to be careful. Friends, these people will use from the toolkit of the icon of the anarchist, Jenny Holzer. Jenny Holzer has compiled a set of how to spread anarchy in a country. And people are using it exactly. She says, fear is the most elegant weapon. Accentuate sense of insecurity. Play on people's sense, first ignite a sense of insecurity and play on it like a violin. These are words. Let sense of collective insecurity grow. Because when it grows, a panicked human herd is prone to go over the cliff. Undermine public confidence. These are all from the toolkit of Jenny Holzer, which people have been using it, anarchists have been using it all across. And these are the tools which are being used today in this country. We have to be careful about it, because they do not want Bharat to rise. They do not want a harmonious, beautiful world. Imagine, today there is so much of acceptance of Bharat and Bharat leadership. Only a year back, when we hosted the presidency of G20, what was the motto? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. One world, one family, one future. This is received from our Vedic rishis. This is the tenet of Bharat Shakti. And we demonstrated it by including the African Union in G20. Such a large mass of humanity. How can they be left out? No. It occurred to Bharat and Bharat did it. We saw Bharat Shakti we saw in COVID. When the whole world was under the grip of it, nobody knew the beast. At that point of time, when some developed advanced countries that they discovered the vaccine, the expectation around the world was that a catastrophe of this magnitude, which didn't scare anyone, it would ignite a sense of compassion among the advanced countries, and they would share the medicine, the vaccines with those who are less fortunate. It didn't happen. Vaccine nationalism grew. They started hoarding vaccines much more than they needed. It was at that point of time, thanks to our scientists, when we discovered the vaccine. We shared the vaccine with over 150 countries in the world. This is Bharat Shakti. This is Bharat. And that is why today a conflict-ridden world looks upon Bharat with expectation to bring peace. We see it every day. This is new Bharat. To build this new Bharat is the responsibility of all of us. We have, wherever we are, whichever field we have to rise to our maximum potential. Whatever we do, whichever field, if we do it with the sense that this is a part, this infinitesimal contribution of mine will integrate into developing a gigantic Bharat Shakti. With that sense, if I do it, I am contributing to it. I think we need to do it. Every Bharatiya has today an obligation, a responsibility. This is the golden moment for Bharat. It's the moment of Vinasa to fulfill the dream of Sri Aurobindo. And I am confident we will all do it. The confidence comes from what the people of this country have demonstrated all these 10 years. Impossible has been turned possible, and that too in a record time. We are confident it will achieve what its destiny is, to rise and rise for the good of the world. In this endeavor, Puducherry Lit Festival, your contribution in collating, in igniting the mind is enormous. Don't think it is small. This small spark will ignite many minds, which will further ignite many more minds. It will be a spiritual chain reaction, and it will spread all over. Bharat will rise, we have no doubt about it, and we will continue spearheading the movement, spearheading the mission of igniting Bharat Shakti. We will do that, we have full confidence in it. Thank you very much for the occasion. Thank you very much.